All right, so in the last part of the tutorial, we finished off with this 1 millimeter cube, and we made sure that it was 1 millimeter by going to the N menu, N as in Nancy, and then coming here to dimensions, changing this all to 1 millimeter, and then applying the scale by hitting Control A and hitting scale. All right, so now that we were sure that this is 1 millimeter, we can start working with it. We want to scale this to the size of our avocado, and I've measured a couple avocados, and they seem to be around 9 centimeters. I think 9 centimeters is a little big though. I'm gonna say 7 centimeters is kind of the sweet spot. It's gonna save us time for printing. It's gonna fit in our hand well. It's gonna save us a little bit of filament. So I'm gonna scale this up to 70 millimeters or 7 centimeters. And I could hit S and drag up until I hit 70, but the more precise way to do this is by coming up here to the object properties, going to scale, dragging my mouse down and hitting 70 and hitting enter. All right, so we know the size of our avocado. Now we want to start thinking about the shape of it. And you might be thinking, well, this is a cube. A cube is sharp and flat. How does that resemble an avocado? Well, I'll show you later. But in the meantime, let's add a reference image of an avocado. If you check the link in the description, you'll find a link to an avocado that, a picture of an avocado that I took around my house. It's not symmetrical, it's not a perfect image, but it'll get the job done. So once you download it, you can come here to add image reference. And then I saved it in my pictures and reference. Avocado, and I'm going to open avocado.jpg. Now, where is it? Well, it's really small and it's kind of crooked. So what's up with that? What happened was that when we imported this image, it's going to face the camera. That's why it's crooked, because our camera is crooked, and it's going to be pretty small. So I'm going to delete this actually with an X. And then I'm going to constrain my camera on the Y-axis by hitting this green Y stick up here. Now, there is a shortcut to do this on a number pad, but again, I'm not using a number pad. So I'm going to use these sticks, and then I'm going to say add image reference like I just did, avocado.jpg, and it's on the inside of my cube. And the way we can see it is by making sure we're on the solid viewport shading option and then saying Alt-Z, which is going to bring us into X-ray vision mode so we can see through our cube. And then I'm going to grab the cube and scale it up. And this is not going to be precise dimensions. I'm just going to scale it up until the black outline kind of lines up with the top and bottom of my cube. That already looks pretty good. There's just one more problem. It's still halfway through our cube. I want it to be kind of behind my cube, so I'm going to move it with a G along the, sorry, not the X-axis, the Y-axis, about, I don't know, 100 units or so. So now it's behind our cube, and if we lock our camera, we can use this as a reference. So back to the issue where a cube is not round. The way that we can change a cube to being round is by saying Command or Control and then hitting, let's say 3, for example. Well, now it's much more round and much more spherical. Let's try Command 5. Well, now it's even smoother. So what's happening here is that we are applying the subdivision surface modifier, or subsurf for short. And what it's doing is taking edges and cutting them in half and averaging out angles. And if you do this a whole bunch of times, like let's say 5 times with a Control 5, then it's going to smooth it out a whole bunch. If you notice that this is making your computer lag, you could go to a lower number like 2 or 3. I'm going to go with 5 because it's nice and smooth. So now we have basically a sphere. And if we go into edit mode, we can see that we can still edit it like a cube. And this is really powerful because a cube is really simple to edit. Now let's start talking about how we're going to get kind of the avocado shape. So we can add what are called loop cuts. So if we hit the number 2 and get into edge select mode, then we can first constrain our camera on the y-axis and then say Control R. And if I move my mouse around, you can see that there's this yellow line that shows up. This is adding a loop of edges around my object. And before I click, I want it to be horizontal, so I'm going to move my mouse to the side over here. And then I'm going to scroll my mouse wheel up, and you can see that it adds a whole bunch of these loop cuts. So I think 5 loop cuts is kind of the sweet spot for this avocado. So I'm going to go up here until I see 5 yellow lines, and then left click, and then it's going to follow my mouse. I'm going to right click so that it doesn't follow my mouse, it just snaps to the center. So if we look around our object, we can see that there's all of these new loops that we're able to manipulate. We can also see that the cube kind of changed into more of a cylindrical shape rather than spherical, and that's because of all these added edges. So let's say we want to make this middle part bigger. So we could go to edge select mode. I'm going to constrain my camera, and I could either say Alt or Option click, and then that'll click around the whole loop, or I could simply box select the loop that I want to select. And keep in mind, this only works in X-ray vision mode. So if I hit Alt Z, I'm no longer in X-ray vision mode, and I try to box select, well, it's only going to grab the front of it because I'm not able to see through my object. So let's go back into X-ray vision mode and select this loop. And I'm going to scale this loop down using S until it kind of lines up with the right side of the avocado. So let's do that again. S, scale it down, and then see this right side is kind of lined up. Now let's do that for the other loop cuts as well. So we move it down, we move this down. There we go. So we're kind of mimicking the shape of the avocado, and you'll notice it doesn't quite match up on the left side because this image is not symmetrical. You know, we're not going for perfection though, we're just kind of going for the general shape of an avocado. You can see if I make the line like exactly on the black outline of the avocado, the actual shape is actually a little bit inward from that. So I'm actually going to pull these out just a little bit on the right side. The left side might not line up. Again, that's fine. And I'm just going to keep on scaling up and down until it looks kind of like an avocado. There we go. I think this is pretty good. I'm going to exit edit mode and take a look at it. This is, you know, generally the shape of an avocado, but honestly, I think it's kind of boring. So what I'm going to do is go back into edit mode and kind of go a little bit wild. So I'm going to grab some of these edges. I'm going to scale them up. I'm going to make this bottom half a lot more round and a lot more fun looking. And here it is. I'm just going for a shape that makes me happy. I'm not going for accuracy. I'm going for fun. And that looks better already, in my opinion. And you can, you know, make whatever avocado shape you want. I think this looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that shape. We've got more of this like fun, almost like a pear shape. I think that looks a lot more fun. So now we have the base shape of our avocado. We did that by going into edit mode, adding some loop cuts, and scaling up and down those loop cuts. So we have the general shape. In the next part of the tutorial, we're going to take this shape and add multiple parts that will fit together and cut certain parts using the Boolean modifier. So I hope you learned something from this video. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. If you have any feedback, please leave a comment. My name is Eric with Squish Creations. Thank you for watching.